Hello and welcome to the Apex Racing League GT Championship live on Apex Racing TV and for the first time live on the iRacing Esports Network. We are here down under Phillip Island for this round 3 of season 2. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. Also me it's Adam Hedgecock with Andrew Woodhouse on the cameras. And it's been a fantastic start to the season so far, Adam. We've seen a couple of good rounds at Silverstone and Barcelona. 3 wins out of 4 for Tom McMahon. And after a tight qualifying, it's him back on top again, looking for win number 4 of the season.
It's been pretty ruthless from him, hasn't it, so far? It's been quite a joy to watch some of the racing, especially in the reverse grid races where he's had to fight his way through. But Phillip Island, it's a tricky track to master, so hopefully, he might have a little bit more competition this evening.
Absolutely. So there is McMahon on pole position. Matty Chambers, a driver who I believe has an I rating of less than 2,000. Incredible. We had to promote him to a pro driver at the start of the season. Such a good driver is Chambers, and he was on pole for a little while as well in that session. Tajed was always competitive, up there in third. Championship leader, however, Make Vysokopsika is in fourth. McMahon did retire from a race at Silverstone, hence why Vysokopsika is lining up in top four. Has finished in the top 5 every single race of the season. Then it's Daniel Lee, who was also a provisional pole for a little while, only caught second off pole position. Next, Wayne Douglas, James Holman, Bob Humphrey. Good qualifying for Humphrey there. Aaron Powell, top of the amateur drivers is Jensen Adjinsons. Then it's James Saltz, Andrew Becker in 12th. Then it's Dean Powell, Tom Stevens, John Derrick, Kevin Copeland, John Cheseder, Stephen Broomfield a little further down the order in 18th. Then it's Jeffrey Garzotto, poor qualifying as well for him in 19th. Then it's Carl Jacquelet, Kevin Kitzelman, Max Wolf. Surprised to see him down in 22nd place. Has got a podium already this season. Then it's Ryan James, Daniel Sipisapo, Bradley Hulse, Nick Madsen, Joseph Sewell, Derek Holland, John Gordon, and Andre McCullen. Plenty of chat in this past couple of weeks. It was a week break last week, Adam, about this new circuit. Well, not this new circuit, but it's basically is a new circuit to these drivers because they're barely driven on this track. I swear the amount of messages saying how they've how each driver just brought the circuit specifically for this round was quite incredible. Fortunately, apparently main drivers have used the same setup as Barcelona, but it's a track that has really left the drivers scratching their heads. They've really struggled at certain teams.
It's a funny one, isn't it? We don't see it often on the iRacing service, but when we do, it's like buses. It comes along and it seems to be in every single series for like a week, and then it just goes away again. It is very tricky here. I can see why some guys are using their Barcelona set. A similar kind of corner layout. There's a lot of fast flowing stuff. There's also some slower, trickier bits, but I don't know. I think the elevation changes. That's the bit that catches people out on here. The car, it does get very light going over the top of the hill down towards a really hard braking point for a right-hander towards the end of the lap. It's not an easy track at all. And the conversations on the Discord have been very entertaining, but all in good spirits as we've come accustomed to in this league.
Yeah, and a few less drivers as well for this round. Sure, they'll pick back up for next round of the championship, which I think might be Le Mans. I'm not quite sure. In preparation for the 24 hours that is coming up in a couple of weeks' time. By the way, championship standings going into this round. Vysokopsika, top of the standings. Tom McMahon in second place. Unfortunately, Dennis Eichenberg, who was in third and was leading the championship after round 1, has had to pull out from the championship with a couple of health issues. So best of luck to him if he's watching along. There's Max Wolf and Taj Edward. It's very close in the team's championship as well. This round 3 of the season of 8, and I hope that you will enjoy it with us. The Ford pace car, best pace car, comes into the pits, and the field is under control of Tom McMahon out in the lead. Is it going to be win number 4 for Evo SR this season? still. He hesitates, and now he puts his foot down. McMahon pulls away from the rest of the order. Good start as well for Chambers to remain in that second place. Nice Kopska straight away past his teammate Taj Edwards, change for third and fourth position there. Lee trying to close in on these drivers as well, going into turn one. Chambers not close enough for a move on his teammate as Lee just tries to look to the inside of Edwards. It wasn't quite happening for him. Too wide, far down. Good stuff for Adriansons, already getting past Aaron Powell. So still the leader of the amateur drives then is Adriansons as they once again get through turn two. All driver spinning around in his Ferrari just on the inside of the circuit. That could have been Bradley Hulse potentially as they get it stopped for Honda for the first time. This is going to be the big shovel spot. Wayne Douglas trying to get past Daniel Lee. I think Wayne Douglas might be able to get past Daniel Lee here. Going down the inside into the right-hander, and Douglas hasn't quite done it. Lee stays ahead.
What a great start to the race. That was absolutely manic, wasn't it? And on the most part, everyone seemed to get through okay. We see there's a couple of people dropping down. Garzotto and Ryan Jones have dropped down. Bradley Hulse, as you said, had a bit of a spin. There's Garzotto. Trouble coming into the hairpin, I'm assuming. But what a great start from McMahon. He really controlled the pace beautifully and then just caught everyone napping a little bit. But he has to be careful because we know that Chambers and Visa Kopsika are very accomplished and very quick drivers.
Absolutely. So already actually getting up to a second ahead. John Derrick has spun round to start this race in about 11th place, did Derrick, but he's a long way off the circuit right there. You also saw Calzotto, of course, spinning around, as you were saying before. Adam, Stephen Broomfield up 5 places. He's up into 12th, or 13th, sorry. As I was saying earlier on, he's was miles out of position. And whilst he goes up the order, his teammate Garzotto slips down the order, and there was John Derrick as well for Black Sheep Motorsports, dropping down the wayside. Chambers staying really close to McMahon. This is James is a rookie, remember, in this championship. Has also a little move behind. Was that Holman or one of the drivers trying to just nip his way past? In fact, I think that was Humphrey getting past Holman. So good move there from Bob Humphrey. Also had Wayne Douglas getting past Daniel Lee. I was saying how Lee had that one covered about a lap ago, but Douglas did eventually make that move stick. But that was a good move there from Humphrey. You know how good his racecraft is, and he managed to slither down the inside into the head.
Yeah, slippery customer is Bob Humphrey. Very consistent as well. I remember doing some testing last season. I jumped into a session with the guys around Spa, and no matter what I did, he was always that little bit ahead. And just when I thought I could get up close to him, boom, puts in a lap time considerably quicker than I could achieve. So yeah, very, very good driver. But as you can see that the depth of talent in the field, you know, we're talking about Humphrey. He's only in 7th place. Which is crazy. And we look down, see Nick Madsen down in 16th. We know how quick he can be. He obviously had a bad qualifying to put him all the way down there. But yeah, that's quite a shocker from Madsen.
Yeah, he started in 25th.
Nice.
Which is miles down for Madsen. He must have just messed up every single one of his qualifying laps. There was no one with a pit lane start. That is a penalty available for the drivers if they do something wrong. McMahon drives it in deep, and that was really close to the side of the circuit there. And Chambers, if he was a bit closer, could have had that one. Matthew Chambers, the driver who has never got a podium this season. And I've made some changes to our point sheet, so I should be able to see what his highest position so far this season is. Chambers. He's down in 15th place in the championship. He's got a 4th so far, but he's only got one top 10 finish so far this season out of 4 races. And he's looking like the fastest driver at the moment. Edwards as well, as always, really close as well in 3rd. So very unlike Barcelona when McMahon was pulling away, he's been kept very honest so far.
He is indeed. And obviously they're both Evo SR cars, albeit that Chambers is in the SR green. So I'd imagine they'll be looking to work together, help each other out as much as they can. 25 minutes, it's still a long enough race. They don't want to get too clumsy at the moment. We see Taj Edwards with the fastest lap of the race so far, 25.3. That's a good second quicker than McMahon, so we can see how much time McMahon lost with that small mistake going into the hairpin on the last time around. Edwards, yeah, right back on the back of these two now, and we know historically Edwards won't give them a minute of rest. He will be pressuring them all the way to the finish line.
this was a move for Nick Madsen to get past Kevin Copeland, I believe.
Ooh, get close there, didn't he? Blimey.
Ooh. And into turn 1 as well. Madsen gets it done into T1. John Gordon has had to tow back to the pits. Oh, Madsen's been involved in something now, and he rejoins a bit unsafely as one of his one of the other Porsches moved past. Let's see what happens here. Oh, he just gets a small tap round, doesn't he?
Oh, that's so unfortunate. The smallest of touches just seemed to hook up, didn't they? And they just caused each other to over-rotate, almost dancing on the spot. Other drivers around done a good job missing them, though. But that was yeah, so unfortunate.
Oh, Jacquelet, sorry, is coming out to the back of them. Jacquelet running it in deep as well into that corner, currently in 24th place. Still McMahon leading. Oh, Douglas and Lee. Oh, Douglas just about defended that one. That was close. And Powell as well in 8th place. He's making some really good plays. Got past Atkinson's and Holman in the past couple of laps. And he'll be onto the back of these drivers as well, I think, pretty soon. Humphrey now onto the back of Lee, who had a chance at a race win last time out, did Lee at Barcelona race 2, which he got involved in something with Bob Humphrey. That time he seems to have a big pace advantage. This time, it's the Evo SR driver. He seems a bit faster, but it's always difficult for Lee, isn't it? We see him get involved in a few instances. I imagine there's a lot of doubt in his mind when it comes to these overtakes.
It was very telling in an interview afterwards, wasn't it, when he was saying that you know, although he was focusing on Humphrey as much as he could and knew he had to get past, it was McMahon closing him down from behind that was the pressure point for him, and that is arguably what caused the incident in the end with Humphrey. But yeah, he's an odd one where he has flashes of brilliance, and then I don't want to say he throws it all away in a moment of rashness. He's better than that, but yeah, he does make the occasional silly mistake, and it really does put pay to a lot of the hard work he does throughout these races.
Here comes Lee. Oh, he just had a little look. On Wayne Douglas there. Atkinson's got past Holman, by the way. He's having a stunning race. Has had a couple of spins so far this season, which has jeopardised his positions, but yeah, it's a driver running up in 9th place, only 8 seconds off the lead. The field is pretty close still, particularly that top 14, and I'm sure Max Wolf will be catching up to that big pack as well. Look how close Edwards was on Chambers into the hairpin, just drops back slightly again. Douglas and Lee both off the circuit. I think Douglas, well, now they are back the right way. Oh, Douglas just ahead. Lee couldn't get it done. I think he may have gone to the outside or something into the hairpin. Such a narrow circuit is this, and Lee just cannot find a way past the mate, having a very reminiscent race of his race 1 at Barcelona when he was stuck behind Eichenberg. I mean, it was for the whole race. There goes Humphrey as well. He's going to try to go for one of these very tight hairpin moves, but it doesn't happen for him. Too deep though for Douglas, and Lee is passed. Finally, it's taking him a few too many laps, but finally Daniel Lee is up into 5th place.
It looked like Douglas just snatched a break coming down the hill there. So easy to do. You're carrying so much momentum, throwing the car down the hill. Looked like he just locked the inside. You can see that Humphrey's now having a look going to the outside as they approach turn 1. Who's that slow on the inside? That must be a lap car, is it? Yes, it is. Humphrey, no dice around the outside. Douglas manages to keep it and covers the inside for turn 2. So tricky to pass through those first 2 corners. They're so fast, they're so flowing. It's really, really difficult to make a move stick.
So this was how Lee tried to get past initially. Oh, so Douglas has already driven it in deep then for the hairpin previous. And only just stayed ahead. They were constantly changing positions whilst they were going side by side there. And then it was a few corners later that Douglas made the next mistake down at the hairpin. So yeah, Lee ahead of Douglas. Humphrey and Powell is now onto the back of these drivers as well in 8th place. Powell, one of the fastest drivers out since like actually matched Tom McMahon on that last lap. In the lead, it's Evo SR versus Evo SR and Gold Racing Team versus Gold Racing Team. The 2 best teams in this championship. As also Humphrey's got past Douglas. And they're still changing positions. Douglas is back ahead again.
It's tit for tat, isn't it? It's like I said, it's so hard to make a move stick here. Humphrey hanging it round the outside of the last turn. Wow, that's some confidence, isn't it? I don't know whether Douglas just let him have that one, thought better of it, and just backed out of touch. But yeah, some side-by-side action from multiple corners. This is brilliant to see. The trouble is, of course, while these guys are all doing this, Lee's pulled away a little bit. It's got a little bit of a gap, but there's a bigger gap between Lee and Vysokopsika. So although the racing has been good, they've kind of put pay to any aspirations of podium places, unfortunately.
That's probably going to be too far up the road now. 3 seconds between Vysokopsika and Lee. Powell might go for an ambitious move. Can Douglas get it stopped this time? He does look a break again, I think. But it does at least get into the apex. You can see how Adjunsen's has been catching these drivers as well. And he's bringing along Holman and Saltz, Stevens. And I think Greenfield as well might be able to join the party as well pretty soon. So car 4 speed too slow. Back up with the front again. And Edwards with the fastest first sector of anyone on this lap. This might be the fastest lap of the race coming up for Taj Edwards for Gold Racing Team Porsche. So round the final corner. Seems like it's easy flats. It's this final corner, which just shows the downforce levels of these GT cars.
It's nuts, isn't it? I mean, I don't understand how they can do it. But it must all be in the line. Because I've driven multiple cars around here, and the ones you think you can do it in, you can't, and the ones that you don't think you can do it in, you can. They're just way better than I am. That's what I'm saying. But no, it's crazy, isn't it, when you consider what are we just over 11 minutes into this race, and these three they've not really put a foot wrong. We saw McMahon go a little bit deep into the hairpin. He goes a little bit deep again, as I'm saying. Maybe that's just his line. Actually, maybe he's just taken a really late apex there. Woody just reminded me that I'm not quite 4,000, 3,800. Woody is my I rating, but they're still way better than me. That's all TCR racing right there. Actually, can I just say, we were talking about Daniel Lee a little while ago, just to show the good feelings in this league. At the start of the season, we had a bit of a joke with him about his sponsor and called it H2 Mengineering, which was then rectified for the last round. But there was a practice session that went on during the week that was called H2 Mengineering. So a good tongue-in-cheek little poke at us. So yeah, once again, good fun times in the league.
Absolutely. Well, to be fair to them, it was spelled M2 Engineering. So what am I meant to do? What am I, meant to, I read what I see. So yeah. I don't know why he was complaining about that one. James Holman has had a really tricky race so far. James, who has been really competitive this season, he had a poor race 2 at Barcelona. If it weren't for that, he could have been in the top 3 in the championship going into this round 3 of the season. But he's now dropping into Tom Stevens, who's had a good season so far. Has Stevens? I think he's 3rd place out of the amateur drivers. Also got Becker at the moment. He is behind Derek Holland. Kittelman just behind them, and also Carl Jacquelet. Max Wolf is behind these drivers now, so I think Wolf with a mistake a few laps ago, because I think he was ahead previously. And was that Becker just moving past Holland? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That was very strange. Holland really slow. I don't know how you would have got a slowdown.
Lovely livery on Becker's car there. I like that. I like that a lot. You know how much I like the retro-looking liveries. That's ticking a lot of boxes for me, I can tell you.
Well, they changed it, didn't they, for a bit, did Indy Autosports? But it's almost as though they've gone back to the classic type, classic style of liveries. It does look very good, as you say. James Salt repeating the Bob Humphrey move, and that was on Adjunsen's. Adjunsen's back into 10th place and still top of the amateur drivers at least. But James Salt up into 9th place, 2 places up from his start.
Adrianson's doing, even though he lost position there, doing really well. In fact, I remember the first time that I really noticed him on the track was when he smacked into the wall on the literally the opening start of the season at Silverstone. He was the unfortunate soul that didn't make it to the start line and nosedived into the pit wall. But since then, he's dusted himself down. He's driving brilliantly today. P10, got himself a few seconds over Stevens, who's the next highest down behind, with Holman in between. So things are looking good.
I think he got pole position as well out of the amateur drivers back in Barcelona, but literally spun on at turn 10 on lap 1, and that pretty much jeopardized the rest of his meeting. If it weren't for that, I think he would have been very competitive. There is Joseph Salt, top of the amateur drivers in the championship. Has really had an incredibly consistent season so far, has the B team driver, and now Wolf, who finished in second place at Silverstone Race 2. Maybe it was Silverstone Race 2, I'm not sure. Okay, Adam's get. I mean, I've literally got all the results up here. Oh, you've got third place at Silverstone Race 2. There you go.
Yes.
Andrew Woodhouse just reminding us about the articles that he writes on ApexRacingLeague.com. So do check out ApexRacingLeague.com because there's some race reports of each of these events. So that is something that you should definitely do. Chambers, by the way, his connection keeps dropping out, so apologies if that keeps him changed for second and third. So we're going to have a change for 19th though, and this is going to be legitimate. Max Wolf gets past Carl Jacquelet. I think he's just trying to. I guess he's just trying to get within the reverse grid, isn't he? But if we have a reverse grid of 15, he's only got about a 50-50 chance of getting within the reverse grid. Oh, has Chambers lost it? No, he's all right.
Oh, it's very disconcerting when you're the car behind, not knowing where the car's going to reappear. You can see how much time they're losing. Taj he's just not confident making a move at this moment in time. That's allowing McMahon to pull ahead. That's pretty dicey. Not what you want to see when you're that close. Wiesakowska's dropped a little bit from behind, and Humphreys now ahead of Lee. So that's happened somewhere along the line, and Lee's under pressure from Powell now.
Yeah, very strange for Daniel Lee as Powell. Around the outside, through turn 1, has the inside for turn 2, and what a race this is turning out for Evo SR now. They're running first, second, 5th, and 6th. Also got Salts as well running up in 9th place, so 5 cars in the top 10. That is really incredible form right now from them. And Lee will try to respond. They've still got Douglas as well pretty close. Lee just in fade. He's going to dip onto the grass, and off the circuit goes Daniel Lee. And the tyre model means that the grass is so slippery for drivers. We've also had almost overtake from Edwards, and if we change quickly, we might even see another replay of what happened to Lee, how he went off the circuit. And such a shame for him. He's now dropped down to 12th place behind Stevens and Holden.
He just went wide, and he could see that it was coming, so tried to give the room and just carried just that little bit too much speed, so it meant he touched the grass. And as you said, with this tyre model, you're just gliding across ice at that point, which is such a shame for Lee. And we said about it, didn't we? And it's horrible to think that it's a known thing, but he makes these little mistakes, and all that hard work, all that battling he was doing, all undone, and now down in P12.
However, for race 2, if we do get a small reverse grid, and we can't exactly have a big reverse grid, we have got 28 drivers on the grid. I think the smallest we can get is 16. No, I think it... by the way, Derek Holland, fantastic profile picture from him, just being told by Woody about his fantastic. Like, what a happy man that is! Absolutely happiest man in the world. He's not happy anymore because he's off. He's off, and he's cut the first corner. And just like a psychopath, that smile stays on his face, and he has gone round the Marshall post and back onto track. He's still ahead of Becker, who's had his own incident. Derek Holland just driving too quick into turn 1.
That's such a shame. Yeah, we just see him sliding off there. You have to be so careful when that happens, though. You can literally get a disqualification if you cut it too much. So you have to be really, really careful getting back onto the track. We see Stevens and Lee going back at it. Stevens up the inside and past Lee.
I
Not
think
much
that was a
defence there.
defensive move. I
Was it?
think Stevens was already ahead of Lee, and Lee's now trying to
Okay.
come back at him, and
Well
it didn't
done.
happen for him. I mean, honestly, that's a very small mistake to make. Um, so, certainly not too bad. Kev Copeland in 18. This battle's kind of been growing for a little while. Also, Chambers and Edwards. Sorry to go back up to the front, just as we have a tune into some drivers we haven't seen so far. But it was for a moment extremely close between Chambers and Edwards, but it seems to have calmed down a little bit. By the way, just a big thanks to Virtual Racing School, Apex Racing TV's kind of broadcasting partners now. Virtual Racing School, of course, everyone knows what Virtual Racing School do, and widely considered the best setups by any kind of setup website. Certainly do check them out because if you want to improve your performance, that is certainly the way to go. Certainly would help any of us out in the
I'm
commentary box
heading
if we
there
could
right
get
now.
them, if we could get some setups. And also in the description below, you'll be able to find the live timing link and click on that, and you can see the intervals between all the drivers, their starting positions, and their last lap time, their best lap time. All really useful stuff. So you go click on that, and perhaps if you've got an extra monitor or maybe a smartphone, you could put it on that, and that would be very useful for you. Once again, back with this pattern, it's just getting closer and closer. Wolf is now at the front of these drivers, it seems. He's being able to pick them off one by one, but Jacqueline wants to get past Pope.
He does. He's not letting Copeland have any rest, is he? Right on the bumper, almost made contact coming through the left-hander there. He's going to have a lovely draft down here, but so is Copeland. We can see how close he's getting to Kilterman ahead. Pulls to the outside. He's going to try this move. We've seen it a couple of times now. He's just hanging around the outside to get to the inside for turn two. Is he have enough momentum? Oh, he's holding it.
Ooh.
That got close. Oh, he's just lost the rear end. It just started to slide on him. Managed to hold it. Can he keep it out the wall? Yes, he can. Well done, Copeland. Unfortunately, he lost positions, but well done on saving it.
Salts is on to Douglas. It could get better for either SR. First, second, fourth, fifth, sixth. And it might even be seventh now as well. Just seem to have the car absolutely dialed in. To be fair to Douglas, he has got more competitive as this race has gone on. He's still only 13 seconds off the lead, which is pretty close, considering that we're now on lap 17. By the way, just a quick reminder of the format of this series. I appreciate that many guys on the esports network won't be familiar. We have this 25-minute race one. We will then have a reverse grid race, which will be 40 minutes worth the same amount of points. But the reverse grid could be anything between about 12 and 16 places. So you want to be within that range or a little bit higher, so that you do get within that reverse grid. And that will be coming up after a little bit of a short break. Lee has got back past Stevens, by the way. He's back up into 11th places, Daniel Lee. So he will definitely be within the reverse grid and will be very competitive for that. So that's looking good for him as Douglas, once again, he just can't get it slowed down at the moment.
He's struggling, isn't he? We can see Salt behind giving him a little flash of the lights. Like, if you're struggling, then let me go. Maybe I can pull you to the guys in front. That's what I'll be shouting out the window to him. Whether or not you pull him along is entirely a different thing. But yeah, he certainly seems to be struggling. Look how close. Almost like he was bump drafting him a little bit there.
Where's that connection?
There's a puff of smoke on the outside. I think you're right. Humphrey is somewhere. Where has he gone?
Oh no, what a great drive it was from Humphrey. He was up into 5th place, basically best of the rest. He had his teammate behind him, he didn't need to push, and then it's just a snap, isn't it? And hard into the wall from Humphrey. Now, can he finish within the reverse grid places? I think he's going to drop behind Daniel Lee and Tom Stevens, but that doesn't matter. He just needs to finish in 12th. That's going to be the big thing. He's got one more lap to survive.
Now, this track is really tough to keep the rear from swapping on you. If he's got a little bit of steering damage, it's going to be even tougher. So yeah, hopefully for him, he can bring it home. You see
It,
Edwards having a look on the outside. Chambers to go really defensive then, isn't he? Edwards trying to get the cut back. Chambers is using all of the track and some more defensive again. Edwards just can't find a way past.
some big points for the championship. EVSR Green are currently, despite being kind of the number 2 EVSR team, they are currently leading the team's championship. I believe Gold Racing Team Porsche are second place in that championship. So it's really big for Edwards. Oh, Edwards is slowing. Is that a hardware failure for him where he needs to try to get to the line? Because that was very strange. And he's dropped behind Bicycopska, his teammate, so at least they won't lose 2 main points in the championship. And he might drop behind Powell as well. But out in the lead, Tom McMahon, it's going to be win number 4 out of 5. And it's also going to be the championship lead as well. Tom McMahon wins at Phillip Island, race 1. It's his 3rd consecutive race 1 victory. He's really the man to beat. In fact, 4 if you include the race that he's actually taken part in. Douglas as well has had an off near the closing stages. What an eventful final lap that was. Edwards still finishes in 4th. He just about beats Powell. And there is Douglas. And he's not going to get to the line, it seems. He was battling with Salt, he'd been defending with for a few laps, and there goes
Oh,
Salt into him. Douglas tries to get back going, and there's a really
oh,
unsafe rejoin. And off to Mars and back goes Wayne Douglas. That was absolutely a huge incident. He was so desperate of getting back underway. That was a back marker that he hit. But that was a very unsafe rejoin. But it was Salt who gave the initial tap.
always the trouble, isn't it? On the very last corner, you just want to get going again. He just keeps his foot down and whack. Wow, that's gone a long way. Do want to say, by the way, credit to Salt. As soon as that happened, he literally stopped. Pretty dangerous, but he stopped because he wanted to give the place back. We see, oh, poor Douglas is still sat there. Oh, he must be fuming right now.
It means Adjinsons gets 6th place. Well done to Adjinsons. That is a mighty effort. His best finish before this round was 19th. He got one top 20 for the entire season, has Jensen Adjinsons, and he's been able to take a 6th place right there, which will really help him out in the championship. And it really does change. He'll be eligible as well for the reverse grid. The results are on your screen then. Tom McMahon for EBSR wins out. It's an EBSR 1-2. I believe their first 1-2 this season. That might be hopelessly wrong. No, I think that's right. I think that's right. So you can hear the notepad. um, uh, I don't think it even happened last season either. So Gold Racing Team have already got a 1-2, maybe even a 1-2-3, and there is McMahon then in first place. Chambers in second. There it's Kopsuka. So in the end, that actually helps out Kopsuka's championship, but McMahon is now the championship leader after 5 races out of 16. Taj Edwards in 4th place. There's Am Powell. Jensen Adjinsons once again. Terrific performance there from Adjinsons. Just about beats Salt, who might get a post-race penalty potentially. James Holman finished in 8th place. There's Daniel Lee recovers to 9th, but really should have been higher for him. There's Tom Stevens, Bob Humphrey, Stephen Broomfield, John Chessiter, Joseph Saul, Andrew Becker, and Kevin Kitzman. Those should be the drivers eligible for the reverse grid. That's pretty much all the numbers we got available. Then it was Wolf, Jacqueline, Sivi Sabo, Madsen, Copeland, Holland, Derek, Powell, Douglas, Hulse, Jones, McCullen, Gordon, and Garzotto. Everyone down to 26. No, sorry. Everyone down to 26 was one lap down, so will score points. But only the top 24 were on the lead lap. So it's going to be quite a small reverse grid, as I repeat again, most likely. And Woody, I believe we have the reverse grid wheel up on screen.
Yeah, indeed. Good evening, everybody. Here is the wheel, and we're going to spin it. See what we get. That was a great race. Really enjoyed that one. I don't think Wayne Douglas enjoyed it at the end. He might still be recovering from that one. Bit of vertigo or whatever. Here we go. And it's going to land on number 15.
Also, pretty much as big as it could have been then. So 15 is Andrew Becker on pole position. So yeah, he'll be that's fantastic news for the American. It would be Joseph Saul on the front row of the grid alongside him. Broomfield starting up in 4th place. Broomfield could really do with the points right there. So we'll be back with you then in about 15 minutes time then for race 2 of the evening in the Apex Racing League GT Championship. Do not miss it. Welcome back to the Apex Racing League GT Championship, live again from Phillip Island Circuit in Australia. We're just prepping up for race 2 of the evening. My name's Sam Fitzpatrick, and back alongside me is Adam Hedgecock with Andrew Woodhouse on the cameras. And race 1 was pretty comfortable, wasn't it, for Tom McMahon? He was pushed slightly by his teammate Matthew Chambers throughout, and Taj Edwards looked quick as well. But in this race too, the largest reverse grid we've actually seen all season long, overtaking was at a premium. So it'll be tricky for McMahon to probably even get a podium out of this.
It will certainly be tough for all of those front three. Like, the best part of the race in that first race was in the midfield, but they're all having to really work for their positions, really try and work for passes and overtakes, and maybe we'll see that again now. I don't see the guys at the front. I don't think they've got the pace to just sprint off and create gaps. So hopefully, for a viewing point of view, everyone will stick nice and close together, and we'll see some great battles again.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's Becker, Sol, Chessida, Broomfield, Humphrey, Stevens, Lee, Holman. Look, watch out for Lee. He'll be dangerous. Also Broomfield from fourth. Then it's Holman, Saltz, Atkinson's. Honestly, Jensen is like my hero. Honestly, I really look up to him. Inspiration. Aaron Powell in 11th. Taj Edwards, he looked very quick in 12th. Edwards, who I don't think has ever won a race in this series. He starts in 12th place, and then McMahon, of course, in 15th, race winner from last time. Excitingly,
Sam
I have
Sims.
made, if anyone knows about Sporkle, I'm sure you'll do, but I've made a Sporkle quiz of name all the Apex Racing League race winners, which is very exciting. So we've had British GT, American GT. Both of those had two different classes, and this is the second season of just standard GT, and I managed to get 50 out of 64 winners on that one, which I was quite happy with. It's really good revision for remembering who the drivers are. So if you want to find that out, look on Sporkle and Apex Racing League GT winners, and you can do that. Don't know why you would. You probably do awfully because you probably never watched those before. But we are about to get underway. Andrew Becker from the pole position. Is he going to smash this one? We are away for 40 minutes of racing. Joseph Saul in second place. He's already a decently far way back. Good start for Stephen Broomfield. He's trying to gain a place. In fact, I think Broomfield might be losing a place to Bob Humphrey. That's a big move for Humphrey to straight away be able to get past our first tricky start to race 1. Oh, a long way off the circuit for Saul right there. And we've got a couple of other drivers. So that's Atkinson off the circuit and also crashing into a couple of other guys. The 111 car of Vita Kopsika, championship leader going into this round, has gone off the circuit, and it's another gold racing team driver of Taj Edwards as well. So massive change straight away. Has McMahon hasn't got through it either. So the three podium sitters from race 1 have all been involved in a big incident at the start of this race 2, and it opens up this race massively. It opens up the championship as well.
That was unbelievable. It looked simply like a couple of people run wide, but then there was people spinning, taking avoiding actions, people being collected from cars that were skating across the grass. Really unfortunate. Maybe some point in this race we can have a look back at it and see what really happened. But I think there's a lot of bad luck in with that one. We have seen before, some silly mistakes, some silly driving that has caused issues, but that one just seemed to be a whole lot of bad luck. What it has meant is that Becker is out in front, Humphrey up into second, Broomfield in third. Those two have got a real chance in this race, you've got to feel.
Oh, off the circuit is Chambers. So Chambers, who finished second place in race 1. No, you didn't finish in second place. He did finish in second place. Apologies.
Yes,
But he's dropped down as well. So that is everyone from the top 4 now, from race 1, all with a big incident. Real massive shame for those guys. And yeah, so Edwards down in 28th place. In fact, he had to tow back to the pits. The drivers do get one faster pair in this race, so he will at least be able to finish, seemingly. Bob Humphrey, by the way, has just taken the lead of the race. He's been able to take it off Andrew Becker, just as we tried to get a replay of the race starts. So we will just go back to live pictures, and like I said, Humphrey getting past Becker, 3 fastest sectors in that last lap as well for Humphrey. He's absolutely storming along. And yeah, Becker in second. Then it's Greenfield in third, Stevens fourth, and Lee up into fifth.
Taj Edwards, just to touch on the thing you said earlier, he won race 2 at Le Mans at the last round of last season.
Okay.
Bob
Is
Humphrey.
it by Sokopstica he hasn't won a race?
You could be right with that one. I'm not going to flip through my papers at the
Oh,
moment.
come on. Jeez.
Well, I want to tell you a little thing about Bob Humphrey right here. As we see, he's taking the lead.
Oh, Becker's off. Becker's out. And, and we've got another one.
Oh.
As Alan Partridge would say. And that is, who was that? No, Chester. He was in for a good heap of points with the C team driver. And it's Chester who was dropped down as well in that final corner.
I wonder what happened here. It all seemed under control. Oh, he's just lost the rear, isn't he? He's tried to correct it. Oh, and he's just not been able to keep it out of the wall. I do wonder if Tressida, who then that big whack afterwards, I wonder if he'd done the same thing right there.
So. It's just the cold tyres. The track is much cooler than it was in race 1, I believe. He was put off. I think he was put off. Because he lost that a lot later. So Humphrey leads by 3.3 seconds. It's Tom Stevens up into second place. And then it's a long queue of cars. John Derrick is up 15 places. John Derrick might be my favourite driver now, because that is a fantastic job from him. Also, Jacqueline and Sibby Sabo, both off the circuit.
Well, John Gordon's up 16. I think he's my favourite. Here we go. This is the start. We can see tyre smoke already.
It started with Adkinson's though, didn't it? I'm not sure if he got a tap behind or whether he lost it by himself. And it may have been Joseph Saul who could have been making contact.
Saul
lost it by
loses
himself.
Yeah, he went off wide. I think there's another one followed him out. Yeah, there's a couple followed him out. And they slid across the track. And that was the one that I saw when Saul just clipped the Porsche. I didn't see who that was who was driving it, but just innocent bystander. Oh, right. Yeah, just...
I think it must have been Broomfield? No, it wasn't. It was Edwards. Edwards who went into him, and then he got hit by 3 cars. So that might be 12x. And by the way, if you get for every 10 incidents you get 5 penalty points. So he's probably got 5 penalty points. He's probably on negative points within a couple of corners of the race. Really struggling, I think, through the final corner. But still Humphrey leading, Stevens lead, Broomfield, and now Holman and Saltz are very close to Broomfield. I think Holman's going to lose a place here, though, to James Stott, who might be the points highest scorer today.
Yeah, Humphrey put in the fastest lap of the race, a good half a second quicker than Stevens there. Humphrey's really got the bit between his teeth and he's just trying to romp away, just trying to create as big a gap as he can. Because later on in the race, we know the tyres will start to go off. Just a touch. He's trying to put all the hard work in now and reap the rewards later on. But interesting fight. We see Broomfield was very quiet in the last race, in race 1. So interesting to see how he fares against Lee, who once again is kind of on the comeback trail, isn't he? After a promising start to race 1 and then some issues he's trying to put right, and Salt as well, looking to claim some big points and take the round win.
Lee is trying to get past Stevens. They're side by side just at the top of the hill. Has he done it? They're side by side. Lee round the outside. He might get his nose on the inside for the next corner. And it's Stevens who stays ahead. That was a great job there from Stevens. However, Lee just having to pull back into line. I think Woody just asked me, how did I see that? I just saw that in the corner of my eye, I think. And Stephen stays in second place.
Must have one of those super wide screens. Lee dancing around on the back of Stevens there, really not giving him a moment's rest. He wants to get up the road and after Humphrey. We've seen from Lee before, he has got the pace, hasn't he? He's always right up there. Even when he came into the championship last season as an AM originally, he was right up there with pace. So I think he's thinking, if I can just get past Stevens here, I can then catch Humphrey, and we can see Humphrey just outside there. Lee making Stevens go defensive really early on. Lee, be careful out there. You know what happened in the first race, went that little bit too wide. And he sticks behind Stevens for the time being.
It's so tricky to overtake, isn't it? I mean, Barcelona was tricky. I think this is probably trickier. I think turn 1 is probably your best opportunity at getting it done. But besides that, there's not an obvious chance. Maybe the hairpin, but then it's so easy to bend into the hairpin, and then the next straight is tricky to really get a good run out of as well. See Stevens ahead, but Humphrey now 6 seconds clear of these drivers. Who is that in front of them? That is Andrew Becker just in front of them. But here comes Lee now, so he is close to do this final corner. Turn 1's going to be his best chance. Hasn't got a whole lot of overspeed at the moment. The Evo SR cars seem very quick down the straight, but there goes Lee. Crucial move this. Down the inside he goes. He'll have the outside for turn 2, but he could make this one work. Also, Salt getting past Broomfield in the background. Salt is past Broomfield, but Broomfield comes back at him. It doesn't happen though for him. I think there was a bit of contact between the two. And it is Salt who's up into 4th place. He's really backing up a strong Barcelona round. Lee, has he finally got ahead of Stevens? He's on the outside. Stevens backs off. And Daniel Lee finally up into 2nd place. Meanwhile, Salt consolidating that move on Broomfield.
Some great racing from both pairs there. It looked very close, didn't it, between Broomfield and Salt. Almost made contact. See Derek, has he just been passed? Yes, he has. Sibi Sabo has just got past under braking. So a nice move there. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Woody's just mentioned how that's a nice looking car. I have to agree. I'm very fond of that indeed. But yeah, Lee got the job done now. Almost a second ahead of Stevens already. Big lock up in front of this pair. I'm not quite sure who that was. Maybe Broomfield, who seems to be struggling a little bit. I said it last time out as well. Isn't it surprising how few BMWs we're at now? It's almost as if there's been a big BOP change and they're just not the car anymore.
I said it a couple of weeks ago about how in the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Championship, everyone drives BMWs. It's all BMW. And even the championship winner from last season, Timothy Beaver, drove the BMW to the title last season. He says that he's probably going to keep that car as well for next season. Now, that is a big setup series, so it might just be that the setup they have for that car is very strong. But it is a complete opposite to last season. Vita Kopsuka, you can see, with a slightly damaged car in 11th place, but fastest lap of the race that last time around, 25.55, all the fives. And Tom McMahon now 0.4 of a second behind him, so they're both trying to make their way up through the order similar. Also, Matthew Chambers, who they were battling with in race 1, he's a few seconds further up.
He is indeed. Just looking down that list, Edwards 25th at the moment, still putting in good lap times, but way behind everybody else. Got a big gap between him and Jones just ahead. Adrianson's down there trying to make amends, down in 22nd, but we got a gaggle, haven't we, there? Holland, Copeland, Wolf, all vying over a very small piece of tarmac between some great battles going on. But we see Jacqueline, he's trying to defend from Douglas. Douglas late on the brakes. Jacqueline locks up the brake. I think he was just put off by the move. Snatches the brake, keep it out the wall, Cole. Nicely done, sir. Nicely done. If you get back on the track anytime you like, Mr. Jacqueline, and you'll be on your way again.
Well, if there's an award for slow speed, almost scrape with the wall, Carl Jacqueline has got that award wrapped up for this season.
Didn't it?
That was the best I've ever seen of that specific move. And also Woody just saying the slowest rejoin awards of the season. Oh, that's surely going. Oh, that was always going to be contact, and then skating across. Oh, that was very fortunate. Madsen being tapped around, and actually, to be fair, I think he's slowing down. Is he slowing down? Is that Derek? Who he's was tapped down by initially. You could see that from a mile off because Derek was just had almost nowhere to go, and now Derek's going to be overtaken by Chambers as well.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Just words, Adam. Words that would be good. The little piece, isn't it? You just break that touch late, and you run into Madsen squeezing him all the way to the outside. Wasn't giving him any room, and yeah, just a tad later on the brakes, give him a little shove. You can see instantly he's eased up right away. He knows he's made a mistake, and he's just waiting for Madsen to get back onto the track. So fair play to Derek there, but yeah, unfortunate for Madsen to get turned around.
Madsen will want to keep Chambers behind, I imagine, for pride's sake. Oh, Chambers! Oh, well, you just saw the best low speed recovery from a tyre wall of the season. I think that's the best straight line save at high speed of the season as well, because Chambers had to try to get out of it and then onto the grass as well. It's Derek. Oh, he just dips a wheel onto the grass and then off into the gravel. See, that's so often around this circuit, probably up there with Lime Rock in terms of the amount of grass that we have around this circuit. Here was Derek. He had nowhere to go and then tried to go around the outside, but just didn't slow down enough.
You could hear it, couldn't you? The rears were just getting that little bit spinny. They weren't wanting to turn, and yeah, before you know it, you've touched the grass and away you go. Very easy to end up in the wall out there as well. It's all downhill from the track, so did a good job keeping it out. Where are we now? Broomfield is trying to chase down Salt, who's got a bit of a gap.
Here's Bob Humphrey going for his first race win in this championship. I'm not even sure if he's got a podium in this championship. Where is Humphrey? He certainly hasn't got a podium this season. So he hasn't even got a top 6 this season. But into turn 1, we have Camber on the circuit, and then just lines it up for 2. We saw Edwards take a very tight line into 2 earlier on, which can be done, but have to be opening up slightly more. And then heading down into the left, and then the tight Honda hairpin, easy flat the first part in these cars, and then just getting stopped about 70 meters away from the corner. By the way, Humphrey is extending his lead to about 6.5 seconds at the moment, pretty much a match for lead, maybe even a little bit faster than the left-hander. But on the Thotzel 2, where you can see how much space he's leaving on the side of the circuit, barely looks like he's even pushing the car at the moment around this Phillip Island circuit, and then arguably the most tricky parts of the track left, and then another one of these hairpins downhill. But Humphrey just staying on the racing line, hitting every one of these apexes with ease. Doesn't look especially fast, I must say, Adam, but looks like there's a bit more on the table, but the relative disagrees.
No, he's putting in some great laps. Very collected, very calm in the car, isn't he? That's what you'd expect from someone who was on the podium at Le Mans in race 2 from last season.
I'll pretend you didn't say that, Adam.
You know, I've got the notes from behind. See Visa Kopsika defending round the outside there. Who is that with him? McMahon, isn't it? Trying all he can. Visa Kopsika holding that inside line with his very aesthetically pleasing rear wing. Surprisingly, he can keep going. We know how much the aero plays a factor into these cars. So I'm surprised he's holding McMahon off as he is. We know how quick McMahon is.
McMahon has now got past. McMahon into 10th place. I'm not sure where it was done. In fact, I think it's quite a bit further round. To be fair, was the actual McMahon opening. I think they've been down into turn 1 on the following lap beyond this. So he is up into 10th place and looks as though he'll extend his championship lead, which he picks up after race 1. Here it was. Oh, that's a lead, isn't it? Round the outside, just has a little bit of his car alongside the 2 and passed.
That's all you need, isn't it? Just a little bit, and the space was given, which is the right thing to do. See Madsen right on the
Oh,
coattails now
Chambers.
as well.
Chambers has made a mistake, I think. No, sorry, that was my bad. Apologies.
You sure? You good?
Yeah, no, just a slight, slight mental breakdown, but I'm back.
Excellent. Yeah, no, Madsen very quiet in the first race, looking to gain more position. We see Kittelman now. Very tricky corner this. You always want to carry more speed than you really could, or really should. He's coming down to the really tight, locks the inside front right, doesn't he? It's so easily done as well. Doesn't go quite as far off as Jacqueline, but manages to get back on the track. Down in P15, he did lose a couple of places there, but he's still got a clean car and he's back underway again.
Greenfield just trying to hold on to as many places as he can. We think of Greenfield as a championship contender, but this season hasn't quite worked out for him so far. He's been very underwhelming in qualifying in particular. Another underwhelming qualifying for him today. However, after finishing, I think, in about 8th place in race 1, if he could get a 5th place here, that would be a decent meeting worth of points, and he'd still look pretty strong, especially going into Le Mans, a circuit that Gold Racing team absolutely excelled round last season. So Greenfield just needs to try to collect as many points as he possibly can. This is going to be great, I think, this battle. As long as Greenfield keeps them behind for a bit longer, then we're going to see McMahon and Vysokopsika and Chambers and Madsen all catch up to this. This could be a 7-car battle soon.
Yeah, some good names in there as well. It's going to be an epic battle. Broomfield, yeah, you're right. He has been a little bit underwhelming this season. We were used to him driving very consistently and quickly last season. He's only had one top 5 this season so far, which is very unlike him. Just about holding on to this place now. As he power behind, getting all sorts of ways behind him, trying to put him off, just trying to poke his nose and create a little bit of room. That's the thing with Broomfield, though, isn't it? He holds his lines. He will make you drive around him. Like there, he's defended really early, coming towards the hairpin. We've got the lap car in there for the fun of it as well. But yeah, he positions his car really early, and he basically says to you, look, this is the position you're going to have to go in. Are you good enough to do it? And up until now, he's doing a solid job.
Just did a 27.46. Did Greenfield losing 2 seconds? Or nearly 2 seconds to a couple of drivers behind. Once again, big thanks, as you can see in the top right of your screen, Virtual Racing School for Apex Racing TV partners. Massive thanks to them. Of course, do check out Virtual Racing School. Probably the best setups. I say probably. I feel like what was it, Carlsberg or something? The best Danish beer in the world, probably. But I can't really say they are the best, but I'm pretty sure they are the best. As moving through is Holman up into 6th place now is Holman, and also Chambers getting past Powell. So that's an awful couple of corners there for Aaron Powell after looking like he might be able to move up a couple of places. Instead, he's dropped down. And also thanks to SDK Gaming as well, who provide the fantastic overlay we have on this. And if you want an overlay just like this, you can have loads of customization on it. Certainly do check out sdkgaming.com and you can see that. And also we've also got live timing in the description. Tom McMahon, championship leader. He might not be championship leader after all. He's made a mistake, and these are a premium.
They are indeed. Turn 2, just swinging around. Oh, he just got a little bit of a swapper on, didn't he? The car just wasn't settled, and he caught it pretty early, but he's lost 3 places there by the looks of it. So yeah, not what McMahon needed at all after dominating the first race. Yeah, he's having a real struggle this time around, isn't he?
And Vysokopsika might be moving ahead of him in the championship because of that. We've got Kev Copeland off the circuit. He has collided with Derek Collins, Carl Jacqueline, sorry. Wonder if this is just synchronized spinning. It looks that way. Oh, he drives it. How many times have we seen this mistake? And Jacques Colette does it, and then the driver behind does it as well.
I'm glad it's not just me. Whenever I'm following a car, I do fall into that trap of literally following that car. And the amount of accidents I've had where I've been following another car off the track is outrageous. So yeah, easily done. You just kind of get yourself into a groove. You're focused on the rear wing of the car in front, and before you know it, you're off in the grass as well. But Bob Humphrey, by the way, while we've been looking at the rest of the field, 7-second lead he's got over Daniel Lee now. That's pretty mental.
Yeah, it was about 6 seconds, I think, when he got past Lee, and then occasionally it looks like he would close it down, but hasn't quite consolidated. I think, to be fair to Humphrey, even if we had McMahon and maybe Kopsika and the front runners from race 1, even if they had got through the first few corners cleanly, I still don't think they would catch Bob Humphrey. He's been that quick.
He has been on it, hasn't he? I still like the fact that obviously Adrianson's just going off a little bit. The back of his car is crumpled there. Surprised it's tracking straight at all. Broomfield's still defending, isn't he, against Chambers? But I'm still like that Bob Humphrey was not happy that we were giving the happiest person in the league award to Derek Holland and change his picture. I'm so glad whenever we see him. Oh, you see Chambers going around the outside of Broomfield there. Wow, the confidence, that was something else from Chambers. Broomfield trying to get back at him, but Chambers having none of it. Right the way around the outside of turn 1, had it done before they even got to turn 2. Great driving there from Chambers. Broomfield down to 6th.
And so we might see a retaliation. We've seen this a few times with drivers being overtaken the first part of the lap, and then they always get a run into the hairpin, but you can't go around the outside of the hairpin, pretty much. I mean, I don't think we've seen it all day long, and I've commentated on D-Series around it, commentated on AOSC around it, and around the outside, around any of these hairpins is near on impossible, but outside of turn 1 is very possible, and this was how much has done it. Let's see how much he lifts it. I mean, he wasn't keeping up the edge of tyres either. That looked easy.
Yeah, he gave a lift, dropped it down a gear, and just got back on the power, didn't he? That was very nicely done. Oh, you see the amount of oversteer he's getting on the exit. Wow. Constantly chopping at the wheel to try and keep it straight. But yeah, great driving there from Chambers. Broomfield now, he's got Holman and Powell right behind him. We know that they're not going to be wanting to hang around, and Visa Kopsika not far off the back of them. You see Powell having a little look at Holman there, but Holman hugging that inside line, not giving any room for Powell at all. It's very nip and tuck. We said this right at the start, though, didn't we, Sam? That pass around here is really difficult because it's so fast and flowing. Trying to make a move stick, you almost have to force your way through.
That's what Kopsika's going to try to do. Oh, there was a bit of movement from Powell. He was just drifting across, wasn't he? And he didn't know Kopsika when the drifting would stop, and he had to really back out of it. We were hoping that McMahon would be involved in this. He would certainly be in amongst these drivers by now if he hadn't have made the mistake that he did a few laps ago. Also, if Broomfield can kind of up his pace, I think him and Chambers might be able to catch up to Stevens as well in 4th place. Tom Stevens, top of the amateur drivers, in 4th place at the moment. But Madsen as well will catch up to these guys. McMahon should catch up by the end of this race. Of course, 40-minute race. This is worth the same amount of points as race 1, though. As Broomfield actually being let off the leash for a moment. But it's now Holman. He's facing the pressure from Powell. And this could be a move down into turn 1. We've already seen the Neva SR car very strong through turn 1. Broomfield seems to slow down the straight. So that gap going down quite considerably. And that's just helped out Holman. That bit of a draft. He's just giving them some respite.
Well, I can tell you from doing some testing at Le Mans already, the Ferrari is a very, very slippery car. Down the straights, it is pretty mega. So I'm not surprised that he was catching Broomfield there, coming down that straight. But you see just behind Holman Powell dancing around, and then the bent wing of Visa Kopsika just poking up. Oh, very defensive. Powell trying to make a move. Holman still turns in. God, that must have been incredibly close. Looked like Holman turned in pretty late there. Powell tried it, and Visa Kopsika's now having a look at Powell just behind. I think Powell just about got the position back, but yeah, it's getting very close between those three. If those three start fighting too much, Broomfield will be off up the road before they know it.
So Vaskowska, attempt number 3, I think. But if Pal's taking that line, then there's no way through. Good pace being carried by Pal, and there he goes on Holman. He has to leave space. Holman there with the inside for the next corner. Now Vaskowska thinks, I can gain a place out of this. And it looks like he will. Pal taking the wider line. Vaskowska down the inside into the final corner. Has he been able to do it? There's contact between the two there, and they're both off. Vaskowska, championship leader, but he keeps it out of the wall crucially. Now McMahon will go past. Douglas, I think, will go past as well. But Aaron Powell, shame for him, down into 12th position now.
Oh, so easily avoidable. Just a little bit more room, boys. That's all you need. Just a little bit more room. It did look like Vaskowska got a little bit of a swapper on coming through the corner. I don't know if he hit the curb maybe. Just there's a twitch. Yeah, he just hit the curb a little bit. Unsettled the car. He had to correct it, and there was just no room for it. He ended up collecting Powell, and it's so unfortunate. It's one of those where you as the person that gets hit, you're thinking, why? What's the guy doing? Why is he doing that? There's no need. When you're in Vaskowska's car, you've hit the curb a little bit. It's unsettled it. You've done everything you can. It's really, really unfortunate, and a shame for the pair of them because they were racing so well. Lead out. Oh, no, that's Powell. Sorry.
I wonder if that was a bit late from Powell again. It's just so narrow around there. So if you move across by half a car length, then all of a sudden the move isn't on. Another guy off the circuit. That's Chessida. He's had his own little issue. And I think that's dropped Chester down a few places after an off as well. I think near the cusp of. So they both outbraked themselves. I think so. That was Chester defending, and they both just gone in way too deep. One took the escape road, and Chester went straight on as well. I think Chester knew that Powell wasn't going to get stopped, so he was kind of holding off the brake, being scared that he was going to get hit. And now we got Civi Sabo round for a second.
Well, all I can say is that I'm glad that Tressida was late on the brakes. Because if he'd broken at his normal time, he would have been rear-ended there. And that would have been a lot bigger accident. I don't think he would have stopped before the barrier. So it's just as well he did outbrake himself a touch because it meant he didn't get hit. Civi Sabo just too tight on that right-hander hairpin. Too tight in lead-in, just loses the rear end.
I'm really in two minds right now about this new shake effect. Oh, Pal's off again. Pal's down into, Civi Sabo! Oh, turn 2! Turn 2, and look how far Civi Sabo has gone off, and I mean, I was about to say, I'm getting convinced by this shake feature that iRacing have implemented. I'm kind of liking it now. However, the grass and the gravel grippiness on this new tyre model, I think, is just too little, and you can see how far Civi Sabo goes off the circuit. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's like driving on ice. Absolutely it is. Even across the gravel, you'd expect it to dig in a little bit there, but it just keeps going. Eventually it stops. And you can see he's just trying to get a little bit of power down, and it's willing to swap ends on him. I think I'm with you, Sam. It is a little bit too much. Although, racing in the TCRs, in the ARLTC on a Thursday night, I'm totally happy with how far. See Powell off. Oh, he's off on the inside on the grass again.
Oh, Chambers has messed up.
Chambers as well.
From 3rd place. I think this is how Powell has made a mistake. I think gone in too deep at the hairpin. There we go. And then once again onto the grass. But Matty Chambers has gone from 3rd down into 7th now. Has the Evo SR green driver. Here is perhaps what happened. Oh, it's turn 2 again. No grip. And I think that's the 7th or 8th car I've seen go off at turn 2.
It's amazing, isn't it? We didn't see any of this in race 1. Everyone seemed to figure it all out. I'm sure the tyre wear can't be that high, surely. They're not even on high fuel anymore. Jacqueline losing the rear end as well. That's at the left-hand hairpin coming towards the back straight.
Still got 8 more minutes of this race to go. If it gets any worse than this, then Jacquelette's off again.
Has Bernie Eccleston been here with his sprinklers? Is this one of his things?
It's almost to say the seagulls have absolutely covered the circuit with their own stuff, and gone and caused an ice rink out there. Maybe it was going off in maybe if it was the flying car earlier on, and it's really annoyed the seagulls. That seems to be what's happened. Greenfield as well is struggling, and this is what we were talking about right at the top, about how the drivers have really struggled around this circuit, especially with the rear end, week 13 as well. There's probably been some changes to these cars, and now we're really seeing the troubles that the drivers are having. Round the outside though for Holman, proving me wrong early when you can't go round the outside there. Yes, you can. And James Holman is up into 5th place. Can he hold on to it? Broomfield will come back, and this might be the better line for Broomfield. This is usually the better line for Broomfield, and the BMW seems to have a better straight line speed as well. On the inside, up the hill, he's been fantastic in defense so far. So 145, that's off the circuit.
Chambers.
It's Chambers. It's another top driver who's made a mistake, and it promotes McMahon now up into 8th place, and Bicycopsica gets past as well.
I think Chambers has seen this and thought, you know what, there's a chance here. I'm gonna have a run. I might be able to do something. And he's gone to the outside, and he's just run out of track. I think it surprised him a little bit.
That wasn't the grip, to be fair, wasn't that? Was just a misjudgment.
Yeah, well, for sure. Yeah, no, I think he thought he could have a move. Dennis Uppenberg, by the way, in the chat. Thanks for stopping by, Dennis. Get well soon, by the way. Hope you are better soon. But he's saying that the tyre wear is insane at this track, so that would kind of indicate why cars are falling off left, right, and centre.
Oh, Bicycopsica's dropped it now, so that's another mistake from Bicycopsica. I think it's going to be turned to again. This is the second off of the race. I mean, if you can keep it on the circuit, then you're absolutely in a great position. There was Bicycopsica way off almost into the seat. I do remember the World Championship event here, and I think it was probably the best World Championship event I've ever seen. Back in the MP4-30, I think it was round 2 of 2018. Yeah, 2018, I think. And I think it was De Jong who won. I think they had I think they 3 stops in that race. I think some drivers 2 stops, some drivers 3 stops, but I think the drivers who did a 3 stop did better than those on a 2 stop. So that's the tyre wear. I don't think I'd ever seen more tyre wear in a World Championship event than that. And so I think that's just the nature of this circuit. I don't think it's really the corners around this place, but maybe just the surface as well. It's not even that high up there. Broomfield, he's going to have to go defensive again on Holman. What a duel these two have had, but Broomfield stays ahead.
Yeah, Broomfield defending for his life. It seems that's all he's been doing this race, isn't it? Just defending. I mean, he has gained a couple of positions from... oh, no, sorry, he hasn't. He's lost 1. Sorry, I thought he started a bit further back. He started 4th. But yeah, he's just been defending this entire race. Holman, is he going to have a look at the outside of the hairpin? He is, you know, he's going for it. Broomfield late on the brakes, just trying to cover it off. Holman thinks better of it, just trying to get a little bit of a cutback. But Broomfield, the size of that BMW's got that one covered. Takes the inside line for the left-hander straight afterwards and keeps his position. But yeah, Holman must be getting really infuriated now. He's been behind him such a long time. Tressida going for a bit of a sideways action through turn 2. That turn 2, it's catching a lot of people on.
McMahon is now onto the back of that chain as well. Wolf has got past Kitzelman. Wolf, well, Max will be hoping that this is his drop down, to be honest, because it's been a very disappointing meeting for a driver who is emerging as one of the championship favourites. Here it was then for the Dutch driver. Oh, well, plenty of space being given by the 211 by Kevin Kitzelman. That was Vayner. Kitzelman actually on for a pretty good result. 13th place, I believe, would be his best result of the season. His best result going into this round was 18th. That was his only top 20 result of the season. So no, he's
I think they're both Indy Autosport drivers, aren't they? I think Kittelman's also one.
Yeah.
I thought when we saw that move happen, it did look like he gave a lot of room.
Good shout.
So I'm thinking that maybe he's just let Max go through just for that extra points. Broomfield again on the defensive, isn't he? Holman just not letting him have any rest. I think Holman, at this point, you need to try something different. He's trying the same move, and Broomfield's got that one covered off. He knows that he can defend that all day long. So I think Holman, he needs to try and switch up his attack just a little bit, because up to this point, and we've only got 3 minutes left, it's not working out for him. Douglas off again.
Douglas was up in the top 10 at one point. He's had good paces, Douglas. Today did really well in qualifying. I think he qualified up in 6th. And it's going to be turn 2 once again. Goes in too deep, and guess what? Goes off the track. That's a shame to see. Edwards is up into 12th. So Edwards, who's pitted. Edwards pitted in this race. He ain't pits in this series. And he had to pit after the first couple of laps because of the amount of damages he had. He's going to be up into 11th soon. Well, he's got Max Wolf now just in front of him. This would be impressive if he could get past Wolf. But what a great recovery from Taj Edwards as Atkinson's off the circuit for the second time at that bay corner. And needs to be careful getting back onto the circuit as well. I think that was a toe back to the pits, which is... It's difficult to keep up to with everything as Wolfney leads it to the final corner. Edwards, here he comes down the inside. Not much defense put up by Wolf, and Edwards up into 11th, which could be a little bit high. He is half a minute off pretty much the next drivers, but with all the incidents that are going on, that could still get a top 10 out of this race as Chester hard into the wall and stuck.
Yeah, good old physics of the iRacing walls. When they latch onto you, there's no getting out. Holman now has got Madsen right up behind him. All this time he's been trying to get past Broomfield, and he's now got Madsen, and McMahon is right there as well. With just under a minute left of this race, this is going to get pretty interesting between the three of them. Broomfield's just going to be hoping that these three start squabbling. Give him just a little bit of rest in this race, but for sure the last lap of this one is going to be a mega one, I feel.
McMahon would love to get a 5th place out of this. By the way, Stevens has started really drove back. Stevens is struggling with his tyres. But unfortunately for Broomfield, he's been battling too much, and Stevens has just about been able to escape his grasp. But if Broomfield could get a 5th place out of this, then so that remember, he hasn't made a mistake as well as Broomfield. That would be maximising the result, I think. McMahon is trying to get past Madsen. I think that's the more imminent move coming up. He's round the outside at the hairpin. Doesn't want to get involved in another collision after his lap 1, and then also going off as well. McMahon, I think, is going to get it done. He's just about got a tight enough exit, gets the car ahead into the next corner, and McMahon is up into 7th place, which is a very good result for him. If he can hold on to it now. Next up, he's got Holman. He might be able to get on the run to the line. He does look very confident. Out in the lead, though, Bob Humphrey is going to take his first ever victory in the Apex Racing League GT Championship. Bob Humphrey, his debut win. Congratulations to him. He is the victor for Phillip Highland Race 2. Lee, with his only 2nd podium of his career as well, in 2nd place. Stoltz finishes in 3rd. Stevens, top of the amateur, drives his best result in the series to come home in 4th. And holding off James Holman was Stephen Broomfield. A superb duel between the two of them for 5th and 6th. And McMahon, the new championship leader, finishes in 7th. Visa Kopsika will round out the top 10. Edwards not too far behind him in 11th. And it doesn't look like there'll be any other changes. Holland and Jacquelet. No, sorry, they've already finished. Holland and Jacquelet, sorry. But Douglas will, what could have been for him in 14th place. But Adam, what a race. What a crazy race that was. That's one of the most crazy races we've ever seen in this series. And we've commentated on quite a few of them now. You just, that was ridiculous how many drivers went off the circuit. When they did go off the circuit, it was a massive penalty. And I think that just shows how impressive not only Humphrey's drive was, but also Lee and Salt's. For them not to make a single mistake, they were really pushing each other as well for pace. They couldn't afford to be slow whatsoever. And yet they managed to be completely faultless throughout the event. A very deserved podium. And Tom Stevens as well.
Well, either faultless or very good at hiding their mistakes. Yeah, anyone who kept it on the track, it kind of felt turn two started to feel like was it the Nurburgring in that particularly rainy Formula One? I don't know what year it was, but
Race
everyone
7.
just started sliding off, didn't they? One after the other. They back in the day it was that yeah, one after the other they just kept coming off, and nobody could keep it on the track. It kind of felt like that, but kudos to all of the guys in the top 10 who've battled seriously hard to be there, and to Bob Humphrey, yeah, what a day it is for him.
Yeah, fantastic day for Bob Humphrey. And championship contender perhaps. He came into this round of the championship in 8th place and only got his best result was a 7th, but he's finished in the top 13 in every single round of the championship, which is something that not many drivers can say that they've done. So there is Bob Humphrey in at the top, only 4.8 seconds clear of Lee. He was catching then near the end, but it wasn't nearly enough. James Salt, a very good third place. He's getting good at these race twos. Is Salt after a good race two at Barcelona as well. Tom Stevens, top of the amateur drivers, must be top of the championship as well for the amateur drivers as well. Then Stephen Broomfield, James Holman, Tom McMahon, championship leader now, Nick Madsen, Matthew Chambers, Make Vysokopsika. What could have been for him? A top 5 was possible for Vysokopsika today, and he's lost his championship lead. There's Taj Edwards, great drive back to the order from Edwards. There's Max Wolf, Kevin Kitzelman, Wayne Douglas, Aaron Powell, Dean Powell, Daniel Civi Sabo, Kev Copeland. Then 19th was Derek Holland, Carl Jacquelet, Jensen Adjinsons, Joseph Saul, Ryan Jones, Andre McCullen, John Tressida, Bradley Hulse, who won't score points, by the way. Then was John Derek, Andrew Becker, and John Gordon. Jeffrey Garzotte did not take the start. So interviews with Gyrus, and so far we've only got actually we've got 2 people at the moment. Bob Humphrey, wrong interview waiting area, but so he's now with us, and Bob Humphrey getting his first ever race victory. Congratulations, Bob!
You need to look at that notepad. I had one at Daytona a couple of seasons ago, I think.
Oh, that was
First
that was
race.
pre-notepad era. That was before
Your
I got
You were in
first.
the
married.
race. You were in the race. Okay, that's my first notepad race. Yeah, very happy with that. I got quite lucky at the beginning, and then it was plain sailing from there. So yeah, very happy.
I've just remembered that Daytona race, and it was a really good race actually.
I very much
I seem
enjoyed
to remember it was switching. Okay, your first Apex Racing League GT win
it.
in that case, rather than American GT. But no, well done to you. I don't know if you saw, everyone was going off the circuit. I mean, we saw McMahon off, we saw Vysokopsika off twice. Everyone seemed to have an off, and yet you just seem to keep it on the track. Whenever we rode on board with you as well, you didn't seem to be pushing it too hard. I mean, how hard were you pushing it, and how tricky was it to keep it on the track?
Um, well, I went off on race 1 on the second to last lap, or the penultimate lap, I think it was. I binned it on that annoying left hand over the crest from 5th place. So I was pretty timid most of that race. So as soon as I got out front, I pushed it for a few laps. I was doing 25s, and then once I had about 7 seconds, I was taking it very easy because I was a little bit scared, to say the least. So yeah, I think the tyres went off really quickly, and everyone was struggling with it. So like the last corner, I was just feathering my way through it since about halfway through the race. And it seemed to work quite nicely. And then the last 3 laps, I was, as I say, bricking it. So the lap times dropped off by about a second a lap, but brought it home. So happy.
That's all you needed in the end. Of course, I assume you're loving your trophy from last season.
Yes, I was desperate to change my picture, so you'll have a treat next week. I just haven't had a chance today. But make sure you go on board with me at some point next week, and everyone in the crowd will be able to see the trophy as well.
Awesome, fantastic. A follow-on question from that: you could perhaps get a trophy this season as well, because EVSR Green, I think, went into this round top of the teams championship.
Oh,
No, they didn't actually. No, actually, you're down in 5th place. That was
I was going to
totally
say.
wrong. No. Okay, forget that point. Other point, you might be able to win the drivers' championship. I mean, that's now 6 top 15s, I think, this season. So
Yeah,
you're raking in the points.
it's been considering I was quite nervous going up to a pro. I thought, to be honest, I was getting shafted by it, and I was just going to end up around the back. But it's been someone's broke something. It's been a lot better than I expected. So my plan is to get top 10 now. So if I can get anywhere further up than that, I will be really impressed, to be honest.
Definitely. Well, congratulations today, Bob. Congratulations on that first or your second race win. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Just the usual Evo SR boys having great fun practice. The C team and the B team as well are sort of part of us. So we practice most nights of the week, and it's been great fun. And my old man's watching, so thanks for old man for bringing me up.
Awesome. Thanks for hanging a chat with us, Bob, and best of luck next week.
No worries. See you next week, guys.
So that was Bob Humphrey, and we're gonna have one more interview. Tom McMahon, who is standing by with Adam Hedgecock.
He is indeed. Tom, welcome. Pretty tough out there this evening. You've done a solid job in race one, seemed to control the pace, as you have done from 4 of the 6 races already this season to take the win. But race 2 seemed a little bit trickier. Talk us through your evening.
Race 1, really good. Just it was head down, be consistent, because I think because not a lot of us has driven GTEs around Phillip Island, I knew it was just going to be a case of be consistent, try not to make any mistakes. The tyres were really cold, laps 1, 2, 3, so I was quite nervous. I made a little lock up, but it just kind of got on with it. So that was awesome. I was really, really happy, and really happy for Matty Chambers to bring home a podium. I think that's his first. You'll probably know that, Adam, better than me, but I think that was his first podium.
Yes, it was.
Race 2, I mean, how I got 7th, I don't know. I think it just shows keep your head down and keep plucking away because it's a long race. Just frustrating. Caught up in an incident with everyone on cold tyres. A guy, I think, behind me just didn't see the incident happening, so sort of bumped into me. And then I got some damage, went sort of mowing the lawn off around turn 1. And then the balance of the car just felt horrible with the damage. And my main goal was to get ahead of some of the Gold Racing guys. And somehow I managed. So it's a weird feeling of, I know I've done well in the points, but still dejected that I feel I could have got more. But hey ho.
Well, if it's any consolation, that race 2 seemed pretty tough for a lot of people out there. There was cars sliding off all over the place. It seemed like we couldn't go a full lap without seeing a car off in the grass somewhere. Now we had Dennis Eibenberg on the YouTube chat telling us that the tyre wear was pretty bad here. Just how bad is it?
On practice runs, the 25-minute tyre wear for race 1, the front right was down to, I think, 65% on mine. So it's substantial and you feel it. And also out of the traction zones from the bottom of the hill all the way around the last sector, you're just kind of dancing on the throttle. So it is really tricky. And you just have to, it's one of those, and it's a rewarding sensation when you're planning for that through the race and you're looking after it, and then you just see your traction zones are a little bit better than the cars behind or in front. And I was able to do that actually for race 2 right at the end. So it was definitely, I think, the most challenging track so far this season due to that tyre wear and the unfamiliarity of this car track combo for a lot of us.
Gotcha. Well, it's been another good points haul to go with your others already this season. How are you faring for the rest of it? You think you've still got a real good chance at taking the overall championship?
That's the plan. I'm feeling quite confident for Le Mans, but I'm sure a lot of people are. So I really don't know. But that's always a track that I feel I've gone well at. Yeah, I'm quietly confident. I'm still annoyed because I feel like I could have really capitalized on that race. But in the grand scheme of things, I seem to have come out of it okay. So Le Mans, we'll see. And then I believe it's Spa after the break. So yeah, 2 tracks coming up that I enjoy, and I really enjoy them. So feeling good.
Good stuff. Well, before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Just you guys, for I'm sure will be a superb stream. Looking forward to watching that, and actually everyone who's been joining in with our practice sessions that we've been hosting through the week. It's nice to kind of almost build up a community of the drivers as well. So yeah, to everyone who's joined the practice sessions, thank you, because it makes it worthwhile.
Good stuff. Tom, pleasure as always. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week at Le Mans.
Cheers. Take care, guys.
Tom McMahon there, race 1 winner, 4-time race winner already this season. Getting closer to a race win is Daniel Lee. Welcome to the commentary box once again. Daniel, it wasn't quite. It looked like it might be Daniel Trulli in qualifying. It wasn't quite to be. You seem to be about quarter of a second off qualifying, but that was one of the most close qualifyings we've seen for a while.
It definitely was. When you put your first flying lap in at quali and you see, number 1 next to your name and it stays there for a while, you get kind of hopeful. But then the time's dripped in, and as in the practice sessions, people have been really nailing it. And I can't remember where I qualified for first, but it was really, really tight. The racing was incredibly clean in race 1, really action packed with Wayne Douglas, Tom Stevens, and Bob Humphrey, and it was like a 4-way scrum at points. We all had some form of incident in one way or another. While I was alongside Tom in race 1, I made a bit of a schoolboy error by trying to look to my right to see if Tom was still on the inside, and when I looked back, I was sailing off wide in the hairpin. So I'm not going to do that again in a hurry.
No, definitely not. But in race 2, it was much better. You started in 7th. It was a nice start, however. And then you were sitting behind Bob Humphrey, about 6 seconds behind. How hard were you pushing to close him in?
I was absolutely on it, to be honest with you, in the sense of you kind of know when you're in the rhythm and you're setting consistent good times, and that was the case behind Bob. But that 7-second relative distance counter just did not want to move. So credit to Bob, he had the pace here, and there wasn't any catching up to him. There was nothing I could do but keep my foot down till the end in the hope that something might happen to him. He might put a wheel off the grass, as I did a couple of times. Just something, because 7 seconds is no margin. There's no way you can have an accident and recover and remain in place. So 40-minute race, nothing is concluded until you cross that finish line, but it wasn't to be. He just had everything nailed, and the first 5-10 minutes of that race were really action packed. Tom Stevens is great defender, really hard to get past in race 1 and 2, and obviously given the events of last race, I was conscious to keep it going, don't try anything silly. But credit to them, they really did put up a massive fight, and by that time Bob was away and there was no slipstream for me to grab onto at all.
Next week we go to Le Mans. Have you done much practice yet for the 24 hours around that circuit?
I love the circuit, I love the concept of the circuit, but to drive it, I find it a big challenge. So that is set to be probably my worst showing of the calendar. I had a pretty awful time there last season because of, I think it's more down to brain fade. At Le Mans, there's lots of long straights that seem to go on forever between sequences of corners, and I like to be always on the attack. These long straights sort of switch your brain off into standby. So I'm not expecting it to be a good race, but who knows? Maybe I can tap into something that keeps me focused enough not to put a foot wrong. And when the downforce is so low, Le Mans needs your full attention. So let's see what happens.
Definitely, really looking forward to that one. Congratulations, Daniel, 3rd place last week, 2nd place this week. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Just to you guys and the Grid for hosting this league, the Grid for showing up and providing such clean, close racing. Really good, and it's set to.
We just lost you for a moment there, Daniel. You there? Still there?
Hi, yeah, you're right. No, did you catch?
Didn't quite catch the end.
Yeah, basically, shout out to you guys in the Grid for hosting the league, winning the league, the guys for showing up and providing such clean racing, and that is
Awesome. Thanks for having a chat with us, Daniel, and we'll see you back very soon.
Thank you very much.
So Daniel Lee there for H2M Engineering, finishing in second place in that race too. So next up then, Adam, we head to Le Mans, and that's a circuit that everyone will know very well. But if we have this same tire wear round Le Mans, that's going to be so tricky, isn't it? I mean, you think of the high-speed corners we have around that circuit, like Indianapolis, for example, or whatever that corner is called. With old tires and low downforce, that's going to be so tricky. So this new tire wear for this GTE car, that's going to be something to watch for the final 5 rounds of the season.
I don't think it's going to be that bad next week, mainly because we've got the full 24-hour race just around the corner. So there's going to be plenty of proper endurance style setups floating around, which will have better sets for the tires. You know, they'll last a lot longer. So I would imagine that that the smarter on the grid will be looking for those and trying to adjust one of those to last the 40 minutes. I don't think it will be that bad. It wasn't that bad last season, if I recall. But one thing I definitely recall from last season was the racing there was brilliant. The draft effect kept a lot of people in touch where maybe they wouldn't normally be. So really looking forward to it. If it's anything like last season, it's going to be brilliant.
Definitely. Yeah, hopefully Gold Racing Team as well will be able to get back on touch with EVSR. It does seem like EVSR have the momentum at the moment with 4 podiums across the couple of events. Dan Cross McMahon taking the championship lead as well. Big thanks once again to Virtual Racing School, providing probably the best setup. Maybe that could that be their phrase? I don't know, but like I said, they are very good setups. So do check out Virtual Racing School for all of those data packs and driver tutorials as well. Absolutely awesome is all of that stuff. Thanks to SDK Gaming, of course. And thanks to the iRacing Esports Network for letting us broadcast this. Certainly do subscribe to the Esports Network so that you can watch more videos on the channel, because there's absolutely loads of stuff. Also, if you wouldn't mind, please do check out Apex Racing TV as well. Give that a subscribe, because they've got 20 to 30 races every single week at the moment on that channel, which is absolutely mad. So if you want to see some racing, I'm sure there's something there that you will really enjoy. But for now, from me, from Adam, and from Andrew, we are going to say goodbye, and we will see you next time.